Welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Today we're taking a look at another auction find, this Seco GIS Backpack. Now Donnie is very interested in this, although this is not the Donnie and Fluff Review channel. You'll have to check out my second channel for them. GIS stands for Geographic Information System, or Geographic Information Services. And this is kind of a fancier version of Google Earth, where you can put in lines, points, raster images, vector images, basically make a really fancy map. I actually went to grad school for GIS, and it was my first real office job here in the Twin Cities. I don't really do it too much anymore, but I do still have some products of my GIS days scattered around my house. Now, I don't really know what's in this because I got it at an auction with basically no real information other than it's a GIS backpack. I paid $5 for it, which I figure is worth it for the backpack. It's a little thin, but you know, it's a decent backpack, looks fairly comfortable, has lots of storage compartments and whatnot. So let's see what's actually in here and see if we can do anything with it. Let's see, we've got, looks like a little power switch here, and we've got some wires coming out the bottom that probably go to a battery. Got a little cheat sheet for latitude and distance. We also have some spare nails in there, that's always useful. Yes, Donnie is very interested in helping out, aren't you? Let's see. Got some old Panasonic batteries in here that expired in 2011. Kind of surprised those haven't turned into goo yet. We have a filthy serial port adapter with, I guess this is the remnants of a fossilized rubber band. More nails. This backpack seems mostly nail storage so far. More nails. All right, let's look in the main compartment. All right, we've got some electronics in here. So we've got a big Garmin GPS antenna. That's kind of fun. We've got some rather interesting homemade wiring attached to that, including this little protected push button. So it's got this piece of highly professional PVC pipe around it, and then just a momentary push button inside. So yeah, maybe for marking waypoints, walking around, pushing this button to add in a GPS location. Not really sure. The wiring here is all kinds of DIY'd, so I'm not quite 100% what's going on with it. We have a little box here, and this backpack has internal tie downs or bungees here, so you can put all kinds of equipment inside. That's really nice. Let's see if I can extract this from here. All right, so this is a differential beacon receiver. Differential GPS was around until pretty recently. I think it's been mostly retired on a public scale, but it is still used for farming, for surveying, things like that. It basically gives you a localized radio beacon that provides more accuracy than just the satellite GPS. So a satellite will get you to within a meter or a couple feet of where you want to be on the Earth's surface, but if you're doing surveying, if you're doing construction, if you're doing really high accuracy stuff, you want a more accurate reading. You want to get down to within a couple inches or even less if possible. So a differential GPS will set up some transmitters around your work site with known high accuracy surveyed locations. Those will transmit out to a receiver like this, go into your computer or your GPS system and increase the accuracy for your local area. Looks like a little bit older one because again it's still using that serial port, and it looks like this is an old Radio Shack null modem cable combined with a gender changer. We've got our antenna port here, power, yeah, just our basic screen on the front. This power cord kind of snakes around in and out of the backpack here. Serial port that goes to some kind of weird 4-pin plug that might be something similar to our Garmin output here, or it might be for another GPS device. Got our power connectors. Again, there probably was a battery that sat down on the bottom here. There's definitely some interesting stuff in here. It's not a complete GPS or GIS setup because there's no computer, there's no actual GPS receiver. This, I think, is the differential beacon antenna. So this is just for the differential receiver for this guy. So if you had a GPS in here, that would be a separate unit. You'd have a computer or some kind of data logger. And then this has this big slot or sleeve on the side where you'd put a pole in. So you could actually have kind of a backpack mounted antenna that stuck up above your head, had the GPS antenna and or the DGPS antenna here. And that would let you walk around your work site. And again, it seems like as you're walking around, you're pushing this little hidden go button to mark waypoints, mark locations around whatever you're doing. Okay, so can I do anything with all this stuff? Well, maybe not as is. This is obviously a custom setup. There's a lot of hacked together redneck DIY wiring in here. The antenna cable for this Garmin antenna has been hacked into. It's been broken out into power, this launch button, and then this other little proprietary connector. So basically, I don't know exactly what this is used for. I don't know how I would use it quite this way, but there are some really good parts in here. The backpack itself, pretty nice backpack, like I said. This little unit, we'll try to fire this up, see if it does anything. And this antenna, we'll see if we can do something with that as well. Even if I can't get to all the parts right away, these are some really cool things to play with. And you know what? It's always handy to have more weird serial ports, adapters, and just random electronics. Okay, I found a 12-volt battery with the right clips for this. And this thing is trying to start up. It's giving me some codes that I don't know what they mean, but we are definitely getting a boot sequence on it. So it looks like we've got a station number, we've got a signal to noise ratio, SNR, probably pretty bad because there is no antenna connected to it. Looks like we can go through some menus. It looks like this was used in Wisconsin, or maybe it was Wisconsin Point, Wisconsin. Subscription, you can subscribe to something with this. All right, it looks like the 296 might be the frequency that it's trying to tune to. So if we hook up a radio antenna here that's capable of getting around 300 megahertz, might be able to get something with this. Although that subscription thing makes me think there might be some kind of an ID code or a DRM or something being transmitted out by the base station, and this might not pick up just any old differential GPS signal. It might have to pick up something that it's set up for or subscribed to. I don't really know how this actually works. I've never actually used differential GPS in a unit like this. I've used it on boat systems where it was pre-set up for the public Coast Guard differential GPS, which, like I said, I think that was all retired just recently here in 2022 or 2023. So regular differential GPS isn't really out there anymore for the public to use. All right, I found a terrifying sequence of antenna adapters that will go from this one to a Baofeng antenna. This is tuned for 250 megahertz. This is what I was using to listen to Satcom radio pirates. Well, let's see if it'll do anything with this unit. All right, this thing keeps rebooting because these terrible hacked together power wires are a little wiggly and loose. It looks like there are quite a few options in here, or at least quite a wide frequency range. So I probably want to go out and look for a differential GPS transmission before I mess with this one, because otherwise I'm just going to be blindly trying different frequencies and I probably won't have much luck. So I fired up my laptop with the software-defined radio and I'm scrolling through the frequency range that this little box seems to use. Well, I've got some kind of signal on 324 megahertz, which is in the right range for DGPS. It looks kind of like some of the signals I saw of examples online, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, and I tried tuning this little guy to 324 megahertz. And just for a second there, we had an SNR of 100, so it looked like it was getting a signal, but it didn't seem to lock onto it. So whatever that signal is, it's either not DGPS or this little guy doesn't recognize it. So here we have all the former differential transmitter sites. A few I recognize in Alaska. We've got some along the coast. Again, most of these were for marine ship navigation, so most of these are on the coast, or used to be. I'm going to give up on the little receiver box here. I have not found anything that it will successfully connect to. I've tried a couple different frequencies. I've gotten that SNR to go up to 100, but it still won't lock on to anything. So it's possible I'm seeing some surveyor's DGPS station or some construction company's unit, or I'm seeing some private transmitter station out there that I don't have the right codes for, I don't have the right subscription to in this box, so it's not able to use that for anything. So let's take a look at this thingamajig and see what's in here. Again, we've got that proprietary Garmin connector. All right, so we've got some interesting stuff in here. We've got a little brain box in the bottom half, and this looks like kind of a standard antenna connection that we can pop out. And then our top half of the little dome here has the active antenna element. This is surprisingly heavy. There's quite a bit in here. I really have to give Garmin props for using regular Phillips screws. It's not some wacky triple reverse hex connector. They actually don't care if you get into this and want to work on it. So I don't know 100% what I'm looking at here, but this is a fascinating little antenna unit. We've got this little patch thing up here. We've got this huge and heavy block in the middle, and then some kind of enclosure on the back. We've got some pins here. It looks like you can plug something else into this, or plug this into something else, maybe pop it onto a different brain unit. If I can focus on this, if you look really closely, you can actually see all kinds of little like dipole antenna elements, and maybe it's not really a dipole, but it's kind of cool that there's all these little disconnected sections that come back and make almost an array. That's really cool. Again, I don't know my antenna theory enough to explain what's going on with this unit. It sure looks cool. Maybe somebody out there can tell me, what does this antenna do? Can I use it for anything else in my radio experiments? Or is it just scrap metal at this point? I don't know. Kind of ridiculously easy to get into all the components of this compared to some of the other consumer electronics I look at. Most companies don't want you to ever look in here to know what's going on. They don't want you to fix it or repair it. If it dies, they want you to throw it away and get a new one. But Garmin here seems to say, yeah, sure, open it up, see what's going on. We don't care. Probably the receiver and then a power injector for that antenna block. I could take that apart farther, but again, my electronics knowledge kind of ends at things that are this big. When I look at all the little microelectronics inside there, I don't know what it does, and I'm more likely to break it than learn anything from it. So I'm going to put this back together and set it aside for now. Okay, maybe I lied about setting it aside for now. I dug through my drawer of antenna adapters, and I found one that will actually go from SMA to that Garmin antenna connector, so we can hook it up to our SDR and see if it does anything. Well, we're not seeing much so far, but that antenna looked complicated enough that it probably needs external power to do much. It probably has an amplifier and filter built in, although I don't know the specifications of that filter. I don't know what frequency range it's going to be allowing through. At great risk of releasing the magic blue smoke, I'm going to turn on the bias T on the RTL SDR, feed 5 volts power out to that antenna, and see if anything different happens. Alright, well our signal jumped up right there, which tells me that 5 volts bias T is powering that Garmin antenna block. So we're getting a much stronger signal, or noise in this case, because we're not really seeing a signal at all. I'm also no longer seeing that signal around 324 megahertz, which means either my antenna isn't working right, possibly the source of that signal got turned off, but I kind of suspect the former. I suspect I'm either not using this antenna right, or it's just not picking up anything inside the house. Well, somewhere along the way I'd lost one of the little screws for reassembling this. I don't know if one of the cats stole it, but either way I'm going to end up stepping on that at 3 a.m. Well, just from my initial look at this thing, I don't have any great ideas for how to use it. It definitely has some interesting parts, it has some potential, but I'm not sure what to do with it so far. So a lot of it might just go in the junk bin for now. And again, I might be able to use the backpack for something. It's kind of cool that it has that antenna mount on the side. I could put a different antenna on there. I could have like a mobile satellite receiving station, some kind of roving ham radio setup. I don't know. A lot of possibilities there. If anyone out there has some ideas for how I could use this antenna or the little receiver unit, throw them in the comments down below. I am all ears if I can repurpose this for something else. But yeah, it might be that I just have $5 worth of backpack here and then a lot of spare parts and junk. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for other surplus store, auction, random garage sale finds like this. We'll see you next time.